My name is John Walton. I was born and bred in Mount Isa. Our family has been in the Isa Cloncurry area for 4 generations. These days I work as the mine manager at the Lorena gold mine just outside Cloncurry, but I've lived on the land most of my life. I do have lots of stories about the bush, but this story and my connections with the land starts with my time at Murranji station out in the middle of the Northern Territory. Murranji was my family's property, all 1,600 square miles of it. My father tendered for the property in the late 1960s. Dad won the Jai in the ballot because I think he was the only bloke that put in for it. I moved up there as an 18-year-old in the mid-1970s because it was stipulated in the ballot that one of the family had to live on the property. Murranji had 2 entirely different landscapes. First, there was the magnificent open black soil plains, stirrup iron high with Mitchell, grass and blue bush that could fatten anything. We called this heaven. Then there was hell, the treacherous lancewood and bullwaddy scrubs littered with the bones of perished cattle and the graves of dead drovers. It was around the time of the big beef crash, and fat bullocks would not pay for the transport costs to get them to meatworks. Some of you may have heard of the Murranji track. It was an important stock route used by hundreds of drovers to walk tens of thousands of head of cattle across it. To the Mudburras, the local Aboriginal people, it's a very spiritual place, and even the Aboriginal people themselves were a bit nervous out there. Murranji is the Aboriginal name for a type of desert frog capable of living underground for long periods of time without water, and when it rains, the frogs came out. Not all the drovers' cattle made it across the journey. North of number 10 bore were a huge set of horns wired to a tree, and underneath was a piece of tin with a sign, "Here lies Toby, flogged to death by old Dick Scobie." And not all the drovers made the journey. South of Yellow Waterhole, or number 11 bore, were the rusty remains of an old Lee Enfield rifle leaned against a tree beside a lonely grave. A piece of tin nailed to the tree had the epitaph painted on it, "R.I.P. H. McGee, chewed the end off a 303. There were other properties around us. Another ballot block was Dungarram, but it was deserted. Dick and Thelma Scobie lived on Hidden Valley. Roy and Kate Potter were on Sturt Plain. Claude and Heidi Yates were on Hayfield, and Roy Edwards was on the big Newcastle waters. We ran about 3,000 shorthorns. We built a house, shed, yards, dip and bores, plus mile after mile of fences. Compared to nowadays, it was pretty primitive. No phone, no outside communication at all. There was a flying doctor radio, but we didn't have it. My father reckoned we didn't need it. You had to do everything yourself. Make your own power, make your own roads, pump your own water for yourself and the cattle. You got very good at fixing bores. When it rained, the whole of the Murranji plain would go under water, and the snakes at night, I would have to carry a torch and a revolver to go out and turn the lighting plant off. Looking back, I think Murranji is where I first developed my affinity with the bush and the land and with the Aboriginal people. Nowadays, I spend a lot of time with the Mitakudi people of Cloncurry. I volunteer my time, vehicles and diesel to get them to help them to go out bush. We locate and document their artefacts, ceremonial circles, stone quarries, initiation grounds, rock paintings and scar trees. All this is then verified, photographed, documented and placed into their database to preserve the knowledge for the future generations. After all, Europeans have only been in Cloncurry for 150 years, whereas the Mitakudi have been here for over 40,000 years.